right, so I asked you to look for the pattern in the first 4 to see what pattern they all followed, okay? And then 5 through 8 did not follow that pattern. A lot of you noticed that the middle pieces up here always matched each other, okay? Some of you even use vocabulary. You said the column of the first matrix matched the rows of the second matrix. That is correct, okay? That is the pattern. That is what has to happen. Notice 5 through 8. None of these have a matching number in the middle, okay? So that's why these are not working, because their middle pieces are not connected to each other, okay? So that rule technically is, if we have two matrices, okay? The size of matrix A is MN. The size of matrix B is NP. Okay, whatever those numbers are. Those middle two have to match. Okay? The middle two numbers, meaning the column of the first and the row of the second, they have to be the same number. Okay? Now the outside pieces are not useless. This MP actually gives you the size of what your answer matrix is going to be. Okay, so it all gives you something. The two middle have to match for you to even multiply. Then when you multiply, the size of your answer is going to be the two outside pieces. They'll have the same rows as the first one and the same columns as the second one. Okay? What if I switch these around? What if I did B and then A? So that means I have N, P, and M, N. Could I multiply B and A together the other way? No, because look right here. Because I flip-flopped them, now my middle pieces don't match. Okay? So you got to make sure it works. Because remember, if it doesn't, what do you say? You say undefined. Okay? So I might ask you to do one, and you can't do it. That doesn't go, oh, but if I flip it, I can do it. No. Can you do it in the order that I asked you to do it? All right? So that's what you got to pay attention to. In this case, no, you cannot. All right? Are you ready to do one? Okay. So, since their dimensions have to be different like this, okay, you can't just multiply the matching pieces together. Not that easy, I'm sorry. Okay. Instead, since the rows and columns match, the reason why they have to match is because that's what you're multiplying together. You're going to multiply a row with a column, okay? So when you do it, you'll multiply, so all of A and B will go with the first column. So the first pieces go together to give you AE, and then you add the second pieces multiply together. That's B and G, okay? And you're going to do that pattern over and over again. When we have numbers, it'll make sense, I promise. There are a lot of patterns that you will start to see. When you start to notice the patterns, it's going to make life easier, okay? So there are patterns. You're going to like them. If you find them, use them. Okay, and I'll point them out along the way for you also. So let's do one with real numbers, because I feel like that helps understanding a little bit more. A and B, what is the dimensions first of A? This is a 2 by 2. What's the dimensions of B? It's also a 2 by 2. So can I multiply these together? Yes, because the middle pieces match. What would be the size of my answer matrix? It's going to be a 2 by 2 again. And that happens with square matrices. That always happens. Okay?
Wait, so you would take M plus B divided
I'm gonna show you. I promise. I'm gonna get rid of these dotted boxes because they get in my way. You don't have them. It didn't print on your paper, but it showed up on mine. Okay. There we go. So, first up, we have, there we go. So, see how I did 11 times -5 and then 6 times 1? That came from my first row and my first column. The 11 and the -5 both came first. And then the 6 and 1 both came second. Okay? So, that's how you match them up together. All right? So, when I move over, watch. When we move over, I'm going to stay in the first row, but now I'm going to go over to the second column, okay? So I'm still using my first row, but I have moved over to my second column, okay? What comes first for each of those? 11 and 4, right? So I'm going to multiply 11 times 4. And then what came second in both of those? 6 and negative 8. Okay? So what you're doing is you're taking this row. Watch. You're taking this row and you're multiplying it with the column. You're bringing it up next to it, matching the first and second pieces together, and then add them up. Okay? That's why your rows and columns have to match. You have to be able to take your row and make it match up with each piece of your columns. Okay? So let's do... Yeah, so we're going to go down. Let's do my second row now. Let's do 3 and negative 7, but we're going to do it with my first column because we want my second row first column entry, so we're using those numbers. So we're going to take negative 3, negative 7, and put it with negative 5 and 1. See how it kind of pops up next to it? Okay. So what comes first in each of them? Negative 3 and negative 5. What came second in both of them? Negative 7 and 1. All right. Now to fill in the last piece, that's my second row and it's my second column, correct? So we're going to take my second row, which is negative 3, 7, and my second column, which is 4, negative 8. So what comes first in both of those? Negative 3 and negative 5. Nope, just kidding. Negative 3 and 4. There we go. Someone said negative 5. All right, what came second in both of them? Negative 7 and negative 8. All right. Now we're just going to simplify each piece. Maybe. So, let's simplify this first entry. What's 11 times negative 5? And what's 6 times 1? What is negative 55 plus 6? Okay. All right, my next one. What's 11 times 4? All right, and what is 6 times negative 8? So what's 44 minus 48? All right. Negative 3 times negative 5. Positive 15. Negative 7 times 1. What is 15 minus 7? Just 8. Just 8. All right, last one. What is negative 3 times 4? Good. And what's negative 7 times negative 8? 56. So what's negative 12 plus 56? 44. And this is our answer, which is a 2 by 2, right? Okay. So you might start to notice some patterns happening, okay? If you have a pattern in your head, keep it there and see if it happens again in this next problem. Okay? I bet you it does. But if you've noticed something, let's see if it occurs again. Okay? So let's do another one. Now I have an A and a B. What is the dimension of A? A is a 2 by 2. Okay, and what is B? B is a 3 by 2. So can I do A times B? No, why not? My middle pieces don't match, okay? So that's not going to work. I cannot do A times B. What if I flipped them? Could I do B first and then A? Yes, we can. And what's going to be the answer matrix size? Look on the outsides. 3 by 2. Your rows and columns have to match from one to the other. So if you switch them, then your rows and columns match up. Okay? So if I did B first and then A, right? If I did B and then A, now it's going to work out for me. Okay? It's the outside numbers. So because the middle two matched, the outsides are going to work. The outsides become your answer. So my answer becomes the 3 by 2. Okay? So we're going to take B. I'll move B back here. We're going to do a B and multiply it by A. Okay? So make sure you write your matrix in the right order. Oh, I do not want to text. So, come on, Ben. Our answer is going to be a 3 by 2, so I'm going to make it nice and long because we know we're going to have 3 rows. All right. First row with first column. That is 0, 9 with negative 1, 2, correct? So how's that going to get set up? Yes. It's going to be 0 times negative 1 times 9 times 2. Good. Row with the column. That's why they have to match numbers. So they have to match piece by piece. Okay? Now what if I did that same row, but I moved over and did my next column? So I'm staying with 0, 9, but what if I do 5, negative 3 now? What comes first? 0 still, but now the first one is 5. Then my second one is 9, match it up with negative 3. Okay. Okay. So now let's do it again with our second row. So we're moving down a row in my answer, so I have to move down a row to begin with. Now we're using 8 and negative 6. Still multiply it with my first column.
So 8 times negative 1.
So now it's 8, yep, times negative 1 plus what?
Plus negative 6 times 2.
Negative 6 times 2, yes. Okay, listen. You're making it way harder than what it is, okay? If I'm using my second row of numbers with my first column of numbers, that means I put them in row 2, column 1. I'm using row 2, column 1. So I put that in row 2, column 1. Okay? Those are the numbers you are using. So when I move over, because I need the piece from column 2, since I'm moving over in my answer, I got to move over in my original also. So I stayed in the same second row, so we're still using 8 and negative 6. But now we've moved on to column 2, which is 5 and negative 3. Okay? So now I've moved over. Whoop. So now we've moved over. Is that a line? Okay. So now we're still using 8, but now it's going to be paired with what? With 5, yep. And then we still have negative 6, but now it's with negative 3. Okay. That's a good plan. All right, so now we're moving on to our third row. My third row is now 4 and 7. To get the first piece, I need my first column. So 4 gets paired with negative 1. And then 7 and 2. I messed up this one, didn't I? Okay. Now if I move over, I have to use my second column now. So now 4 gets paired with what? Now 4 gets paired with 5. And 7 gets paired with -3. All right, let me fix this one. Okay, so seeing this again, are there any patterns you are noticing?
Yes.
Tell me a pattern you see, Braden. You mean like all the 2s?
Yeah.
And all the -3s? But what else is off? And all the -1s and all the 5s? Because that came from the column, right? This whole thing is column 1. Well, what was column 1? -1 and 2. That's why. This whole piece came from using column 2, which was 5 and -3. All 5, all -3. Okay? Is there another pattern you might be seeing? Yes, sir.
In the top row, or in all the rows, the first row.
So he's noticing the same thing happens with the rows. This whole first row has 0 and then 9 first. Well, that makes sense since it came from the first row of 0, 9. See that pattern? Okay. So you can use the patterns to help you move forward. It might give you a little bit more speed. I like the column pattern personally. But you do what you like the best. Or you just keep doing what we're doing here. We're not done with this problem. We still got to simplify. Okay? So, let's do that. So, what is 0 times -1? 0. And what's 0 plus 18?
18.
There you go. So, we did 0 plus 18 right here. All right? 0 times 5 is 0. 0, what is that? -27 gives me -27. I'll see what I'm doing. I'm not really writing it down. I'm more so doing it in my head. All right, 8 times -1 is -8. -6 times 2, -12. So what's -8 minus 12? -20. Good. 8 times 5 is 40. -6 times -3 is 18. So that gives me, 58. -4 times -1 is -4. Plus 14, that gives me what, 12? Oh, 10. Oh my gosh. I need an M. And then this gives me 20 minus 21, so -1. So this is our answer. Okay. If you have a graphing calculator, I will show you later how to use it to check your answers. You will still have to, on your quiz on Friday, you're still going to have to show me the steps. But you have the extra advantage of helping. You can check your answers and make sure they are correct. All right? Because I do have to keep it fair amongst everybody. So you got to do it by hand. All right? For Friday. All right. Let's do another one. More the better. All right. We have A, which is 3, -5, 2, and 8. And we have B, which is 6, 0, -4, -2, -9, 8, 7, 5. Okay? What is the size of matrix A? It is a 2 by 2. What is the size of matrix B? A 2 by 4. Can we multiply A times B?
No. Yes.
We can do A times B, right? So what's the answer going to look like? It's going to be a what?
2 by 4.
A 2 by 4. It's the outside pieces. Okay? Now, could we flip-flop them? Could we do B times A? No. How come? Because then my 4 and my 2 is in the middle, and that's what messes it up. Okay? So, we cannot do B and A. We can do A and B, so we're going to do A and B. Yes. Okay? So, my A is 3, 2, -5, and 8. That will get multiplied. Okay, here we go. It's going to be long. Because our answer is going to be a 2 by 4, right? So we know we're going to have 4 columns of stuff with it. All right? All right, I'm going to get a thin pin. All right, let's start with first row, first column. 3, -5, 6, and -9. Okay, so how do we pair those up? 3 and 6 plus, good, -5 and -9. Okay. Now, because I noticed that column pattern going on, I know I can drop down, and the 6 and the -9 are still going to be there. But what will go in front of them for the second row? A 2 and an 8. See how I use that pattern to help me? All right, now I'm going to move over. So we're back on my first row, but now we're going to use our second column. So I'm going to use, guys, I'm going to use 3 and -5 with 0 and 8. So now it's going to be 3 times what? 3 times 0 plus -5 times 8. Okay. So again, I noticed a pattern. So that's going to help me. When I go down to my second row, I'm still using the same column of 0 and 8. So I know 0 and 8 still have to be here. Okay. But since I'm in the second row now, what's going to go in front of it? 2 and 8 have to go in front of it now. Yes, so we're seeing the pattern, seeing how it's helping us, right, Adam? A little much today. All right. So let's move over now to our third column, which is -4 and 7. Okay. So we're using 3 -5 with my third column of -4 and 7. So what is that going to look like?
3 -4 -5.
Okay. And again, since my column will stay the same below it, I'm going to rewrite the column numbers. But what are my new row numbers? If I went down a row, now my row is 2, 8.
Dude, look how long.
I know.
Look how long this is. I can't even get this on my list.
And now, the very last one, finally in column 4. Finally there. So now we're using -2 and 5 with my rows. So my first row is still 3 -5, but now my fourth row is -2, 5. So that's going to turn into what? 3 times -2, thank you. When I drop down, my column stays the same. I haven't changed it. But what's my new row? 2 and 8. Okay.
I mean, but I get it.
Okay. So it is a lot. It is a lot. But if you think about it, it's really just multiplying and adding. You can do that. Okay? So let's simplify each piece. Yes.
On the homework, if we don't write all that out, and so we write like for the top left corner, 18.
I mean, I need to see work.
I know, but like
He's saying like
You can't just give me the answer. You have to give me something in between. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I need something in between what I give you and the answer. Does that make sense? Okay.
So we can have like the multiplying step already done.
Mhm.
18.
Yes.
Yeah, 18 minus
Mhm.
49.
Right. So like this, if you had this instead of all of that, that would be fine because you're showing me what you're doing. Does that make sense? So it is. I gotta show them every little step right now. What is that? 0 plus 64. What is this? Negative 12 minus 35. Negative 8 plus 56. Negative 6 minus 25. And negative 4 plus 40. All right, you ready to simplify all this? All right, so what is my answer? What's the first one? 63. Negative 40. 47. There you go. Negative 60. 64. 48. And 36. Okay. But are you starting to see the patterns? Kind of. Right. Hey guys, so someone did ask me a good question. They said instead of the colored part, the blue, red, green, purple, if they went straight to the black one with the adding and subtracting, would that be okay? I said, yes, that's still showing your work. Okay? You can't go from what I give you straight to the answer. I need something in between that's showing your work. Okay? So if you want to skip all the red, blue, putting together pieces, be careful because it's easy to make a mistake. But I just need something in between what I ask you to do and what the answer is. Does that make sense? That's fine too. Yep, you could skip the black part too and go straight to the answer. I just need something in between. All right? Okay. No. All right, so don't do those last ones yet. Hold on. Freeze, don't do those last ones yet. Okay, this is what we're about to find out. We're going to find out, is AB commutative? Okay? Meaning, can I multiply it both ways and get the same answer? So if I can multiply AB and BA, if that is possible, which means our square matrices. Okay? If it's a squared matrix, I can do A, B, or BA. Order doesn't matter because they're the same rows and columns no matter what. Okay? If I do it each way, will I get the same answer? Because in real life, 2 times 6, 6 times 2, same thing, right? So we're going to see if our matrix is going to follow the same rule. So the reason why I made you stop doing this last 2 problems, half of you do AB, half of you do BA, and see if your answers match up. All right? So you're seeing if there are going to be the same answer. All right, so for matrix, when you did A times B, your answer should have been negative 4, negative 39, negative 50, and negative 75. When you did B times A, we got negative 4. Look at that. So far we're matching. 75. Uh-oh. 26. Uh-oh. Negative 75. Okay? So, they did not match completely. So they're not commutative. Okay? It's going to be different. But what did match? The first and last point, the diagonal. Okay? So even though they don't match, guys, please stop talking. Please stop talking. Even though they don't match completely and they're not commutative, when you do it reverse like this with your square matrices, that diagonal, though, will always be the same. Okay? But the other pieces will not. Okay? So, It will never equal each other. A, B, unless it's the exact same matrix. Well, I will ask you for a certain order. Yeah, do it in the order that I ask you. Okay?
If you had all the same numbers, it would still be different.